Hey there, I'm Ken. This is Canadian Retro Things. Welcome. Today I'm sort of saving another computer from the end of Windows 10. What computer am I going to be looking at today? Well, I'm going to be looking at this Dell Inspiron. I've actually got two of these. Both my sister and myself bought these a few years back and ended up only using them for maybe a couple of months before I moved on to something else. And that's the reason that I'm saying I'm sort of saving it from the end of Windows 10. The fact of the matter is that even brand new, this computer really could barely run Windows 10. At least it wasn't running it in any sort of a usable fashion. It was the most frustrating computer to use. So because of that, I'm going to put something on it that hopefully will allow it to run better, i.e. Linux. But I'm also going to try something that I have not really played around with yet, and that is Wine. What does Wine do? Well, it allows me to run Windows applications on a Linux machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bunch of the retro computer emulators like VCC, and I'm going to put them on here onto the Linux system so that then I can play them just like I played them on my Windows 10 machine back home. And yeah, if that all works out, I'll load this up with a whole bunch of emulators for all the retro computers I like to play with. All right, before I get into doing all the things I'm going to do, like showing you how Windows 10 barely works on here, doing a little bit of upgrading to the computer, and then putting Linux and Wine on it, I have to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. PCBWay, where you can have PCBs printed starting at only $5 for 10 boards. Part of keeping the computers, like the one I'm working on today, out of the scrap pile is sometimes having to do repairs. Sometimes those repairs are putting in a new PCB due to excessive damage, or just adding an adapter PCB so modern parts can replace parts that are no longer available. Whether it's a small adapter PCB or a whole new motherboard, PCBWay can make it for you with their quick, reliable service. So why not visit PCBWay today at www.pcbway.com and prototype the easy way. The first thing we're going to do is turn this computer on to see if it even works. Now, I did say that I had two of these and I was working on the first one and it's got parts chasing me around the country. That's a good clue that that one doesn't work. So yeah, we'll turn this on. One of the good things about it is it does have an HDMI out here, so it's easy to mirror the screen into a capture card. So let's see what happens when I hit the power button. We got a light at the front. We've got the Dell sign up on here. It's not coming through the capture card yet. Takes a little bit for that capture card to actually find the signal. But I'll get back to you when this finishes loading, if it finishes loading. And we're just under 5 minutes in, and it looks like we have a screen. This was my sister's computer. And now the long, arduous task of loading up Windows. Let's just jump into the future. That only took an additional 2.5 minutes to get Windows loaded up. Let's try typing something into the search bar here. I guess it's still loading Windows. Well, that only took about another 45 seconds to even register that I had clicked on the search bar at the bottom. There we go. Only about another 3 minutes to get Task Manager open. See how long it takes to open up Performance. So you can tell a lot about it right here. It's only got 4 gigabytes of memory. It's only using a single channel memory. So that is one of the problems that it's running so poorly. I mean, your CPU usage is not that high. Your disk, however, is running at 100%. And we have a CPU. It's an i3-6100U running at 2.3 gigahertz. And it has Intel HD graphics 520. So it's got a built-in GPU there. So I think that this computer needs some upgrades. If we're going to do some upgrades, it means that we've got to take this thing apart. So first thing to do is take out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 screws at the back here. So you may be wondering why I ended up with two of probably the worst computers in the world. Well, when we were opening our coffee chocolate shop, me and my sister decided that it would be a good idea to buy a couple new laptops for business purposes. So we settled on these because they were a good price and the reviews for them were really quite good. Which goes to show, never trust the reviews. Because at the time, this model was pretty new for coming out. And I think we used these for maybe about 2 months before we just finally said no. They're just useless. You could hardly do anything on them. And about 3 or 4 months after that, I looked back on some reviews of this, and there was just a bucket of 1-star reviews for it, saying it was just cheap and useless. Which means that all of those reviews that I was seeing at the beginning were probably fake. And that is why I never trust reviews anymore. There we go. As you can see, there is room for 2 channels of memory here. It's only got 1 channel. It's DDR4 memory though, so that's good. First thing I'm going to do is disconnect the battery so that I don't accidentally zap the machine while I'm working on it. There we go, battery is out. Now I'm going to take out the hard drive. Unfortunately, if you look on here, there's no NVMe slots. The only thing here is the one here for the Wi-Fi card. So I am just going to be putting an SSD in here. And fortunately, this is the perfect size for the SSD hard drives, so I will just reuse this hard drive holder. And there we go. So I will be keeping this hard drive. It actually could be useful in the future. Plus, when I see my sister, I'll read it with my hard drive reader, and she can look through it and see if there's any pictures or anything else on here that she may want to keep. And I have here the stick of RAM out of the other computer here. So this is another 4 gigs of RAM. Bringing this up to 8, which should work better. And then I have the hard drive here, which will fit right into this little hard drive holder. Perfect. Now I just have to put this all back together, and then we can put some Linux on it. It's now time to make a boot drive, and I am using Rufus. If you haven't used Rufus before, it is the easiest way to make a boot drive. So the first thing you got to do is put in your USB stick, and right now I've got a 4 gigabyte one there named Ken. It's the only one in there, but if it doesn't show the one that you're looking for, then you just have to go to the click down menu and find it. And I'm going to be using a disk or ISO image. And now all I have to do is select the image that I want to use. Now I've got a file here with 2 versions of Linux, both Linux Mints, the full version of Cinnamon, and then the cut down version of the XFCE. I am going to try and use the Cinnamon first to see if I can put the full version on this computer and see how well it runs. So we just open that, and then all you have to do is hit start, and you want to write in ISO image mode. And it will destroy all the data on there. That's fine. And then you just have to wait until it's made, and then you put it in your system, boot it up, and it'll boot from that drive. Especially if you have a hard drive in there like I do that has nothing else on it. I've successfully added Linux. After the initial setup, I rebooted it, and it literally took about 20 seconds to boot up, which is a big difference from the 6 or 7 or 8 minutes that it took Windows. So, yay. Okay, why is that not actually showing anything? Oh, interesting. Rather than mirroring my screen like it was in Windows, this has actually created a second window for me. How do I change that? Keep changes. There we go. That is better. Now it's actually... All right, well, everything seems to be working. So now it's time to install Wine. I've never done this before, so you'll have to bear with me, but to install Wine, I believe you have to open a command prompt and then type sudo apt -get install wine tricks -y. And that's how you do it on an Ubuntu-based Linux. It's different if you're doing a Fedora-based distribution, but I have not tried one of those yet, so I'm just doing what I know. There we go. That took a little bit to do, but now I want to find Wine Tricks and run that to configure everything. And I believe I want to select the default wine prefix. Okay, what would I like to do with wine prefix? Alright, so I believe what I want to do here is run wine config. And Windows version is 10. That works for me, because so much nicer than Windows 11. Now, let's go and download virtual color computer. And this is the newest one, so we will download that. Now, I have to go to my download files. All right, so I've tried a couple of things here. I'm not seem to be able to get things running here, so I'm going to try run an arbitrary executable. Downloads. Okay. Haha, there, it's working. I accept the agreement and install. Finish. Now let's see if that worked. There we go. VCC is running on Linux. All right, so now I can load this computer up with all of the different emulators for the different retro computers that I like to play around with. Yay! Another computer saved from the scrap pile. And that computer is running 1,000 times better under Linux. And Wine is working great. I've only put VCC on it so far, but I can see me finding a whole bunch of other retro emulators that I like to use and putting them on there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And because this computer is a nice little laptop, which I have not had a laptop for a really long time, I'll be able to take it places with me and use it not just for playing games, but for some work applications and other things like, oh, I don't know, maybe watching some YouTube. And I think it's going to work out great, and I'm just happy that it's not going to recycling into the scrap pile and stuff like that. And I hope that doing something like this inspires you out there to also find these old computers, keep them out of the recycling and scrap pile and stuff, because yeah, they're still useful. Even if Windows 10 is shutting down and you have a computer that can't run Windows 11, it's not that hard to at least learn the basics of Linux and be able to do most of the things on Linux that you could on Windows. All right, well, yeah. So I have to, of course, at the end of this video here, give a big shout out to the names that are going by right now. Those are my Patreon supporters. If you're interested in joining this list, then check out the link in the description down below. That would be a great support of my channel if you want to do that. Otherwise, I have to also say thank you for just watching this video, liking it, subscribing to the channel. Those are all things that help the channel out tremendously and are greatly appreciated. But until next time, I will see you later. Remember, keep those computers out of this scrap pile.